I'll tell you what, I wrote about it in the paper for the Beltirati book, the one which was my keynote.
2 years ago? Or the one before?
Twice, yeah, the one before, the one that you gave a keynote, and Manny. Because the problem I found from my own experience as a training group member, and also from being on the staff when there is a training group, is that a lot of people come to this training group because they want to be group relations consultants.
I see. There is an expectation.
I think that's the idea, that they take it as a kind of a certificated certificated process that then gives them the right, I suppose, which is problematic because it's not in the Tavistock tradition. You know, in the Tavistock tradition, the reason that there was a training group was to give opportunities. Again, it's always about providing opportunities to deepen the understanding and the insight of the method, and more broadly of the dynamics of groups, and how to work with the dynamics of groups from maybe using this particular method in this particular context. As a member of the training group, I had a very complex experience myself, and I noticed how that kind of idea that people come only because they want to do that, so they're very concentrated on, the super ego becomes very dominating, and they're very concentrated on what the staff is going to think about them.
If I'm a good potential staff.
And it brings the worst out of them. It brings the worst out of them, So the first thing I did in an attempt to work with that was change the name of the sub-conference, and no longer the training group, but Advanced Praxis.
Okay.
And the year after, I call it Advancing Praxis.
Advancing Praxis.
And for 2 or 3 years, I ran that group as an Advancing Praxis group. And for me anyway, it's not just a name change. It was about conveying the emphasis of what is important here. What are we here to do in this role as this particular group member? We are here to deepen, to advance the praxis of I suppose, mostly a process consultant person. If as a result you get invited to the staff one day, great, but you don't have to do this group in order to come to the staff. So that's another kind of tension. Then when I developed the design event, if you remember, I dropped that altogether, and I was hoping that the membership will manage to create that kind of subsystem for experienced people themselves. But they didn't manage to do that, and for 3 years we tried. In 2011 I did, 2012 without me, in 2013, and they never managed to. So I think the projective processes, the envy, the competition, the regressive processes maybe are a little bit too much. So this year, again, we're reintroducing the training group.
With that name also?
With that name, the training group. But, that name, but the concept we are going to have to work at it very hard.
I see. It will be, you changed, by the way, from April to August?
We moved it, yes.
You moved it? So what is the idea behind it?
I noticed that in the last few years, first of all, the numbers of Leicester were dropping, and I looked at the membership profile to see who are the people who are not able to come. And I realized, at least this is my statistics or my analysis, public sector of the UK, academics, and parents with children at school. That period of the year is just too difficult to...
The April one.
Increasingly difficult for people to take 2 weeks out of work. And I had a really strong gut feeling that we should try to move it to August, and see, because it's 2 weeks, see if people can negotiate more flexibly, both with the work and the holidays and the family. And so far it's proving the right thing. The other thing that was happening, of course, was that I noticed that all the International Group Relations Network was hugging Leicester.
With their conferences?
With their conferences.
Around.
Hugging.
Like we in May and others.
You in May, and from January to July, more or less. or
I
to,
see.
or to August,
see.
all the conferences.
It's interesting. It's
So-
an interesting perspective.
So I thought if we lift Leicester and we put it in another time, what
Then maybe they will argue.
well,
They move.
they're certainly complaining.
It will take some years.
Certainly complaining. You know, we had different kind of complaints, of course. Yeah. But first was really actually was problematic and was a strong feeling that, you know, in this world it's different to 50 years ago, and to take 2 weeks out like that is difficult. And also, you know, we should be able to have people with families coming to the conference. It shouldn't be just an event for the older generation who have enough money and enough time to spare. It shouldn't be like that. It should be open really to the workforce. So, like that.
So, and you didn't shorten it, you just keep the 2 weeks, right? What is the specific
Well, that's,
benefit of to have it 2 weeks?
you know, I think the Leicester is unique because it gives you time to go deep slowly and to come out slowly.
In this 2 weeks, right?
Yes, in the 2 weeks. Plus the opportunity of the break in the middle also has a lot of learning opportunities, both for staff and for members, around the relationship between pause and work, the relationship between ending and beginning, the relationship between in and out, and anxieties around that. You know, it's the break time is always quite an anxiety time for the director in particular. And as you know, in many work areas, you know, interesting, it came up in another piece of work that I was doing recently. At the time of shift changes in hospitals, in engineering companies, on oil rigs, at the time of shift, all the accidents happens at either at the beginning or the end of the shift. Yeah, the change of shift. Also in hospitals, all the emergency accidents happen at this. So there's a lot of organizational potential learning in that time, and really, you know, the 2 weeks are very precious. Precious.
What is important for you if you run conferences? So, you know, if you are a director of a conference, so what is important for you if you prepare it or run it?
Yeah, I think for me usually the most important thing is to understand why we're doing what we're doing. It's the ethics of it as well. This was my thought about the difference between authority and power.
The ethic part.
Yes, to me the authority is linked with ethics, with integrity, with the understanding of why I'm doing now as I'm doing it. Yeah, and because your power you can use, you can just use it. But if you do something with authority, you understand something in the relationship. I think for me, but I don't know that it's a official definition. But for me, it's important. So I always try to work with the staff also in a way that they keep the integrity of their behavior, of the role. You know, it's about role. It's about understanding the relationship between me and myself, between me and you, me and the greater system, and me and us and the membership, and of course as a laboratory, like you say in your org-lab, which I like very much, because it is a laboratory. And why are we here together in the first place is to understand through our body, really, the experience. So through our body to understand how what we're doing here teaches us about what we're doing out there. I think that's the most important thing. So yeah, I think that's the most important. And then there are lots of other things that makes the group relations conference generally a very exciting place, because I think it's nowhere else that you have an opportunity to meet the kind of people that you meet. You know, you meet people from really different backgrounds, different ages, different professions, all the languages, all the cultures, it's a very humbling, very humbling, you know, just to see everybody gathering is a very humbling experience. And to work together on how we are connected under the surface in our big, small world is fantastic. And you know, also I think the other thing is it doesn't replace, you know, the technology can't replace this face-to-face.
So if you do it virtually, like it is
I don't know, I tried the virtual one. I did, I worked virtual art study group. It's an experience, I think it's an interesting experience to try, but it doesn't leave a lasting learning. I don't feel it, I don't feel it, there's nothing like the effect of the here and now. I still have memories of moments of my very first conference. You know, it's now, I don't know, 18 years ago, and you probably do too. I think that's irreplaceable, you know, the interpersonal, the face-to-face are irreplaceable. And then I think, you know, it feeds, so that's Leicester for me in particular, but it also is a hub for the development of the work internationally. So, you know, I like to have the staff also international, not only because of what they represent, but also because of the opportunity they have to then apply the method into their own context. What I don't like it so much, or what I find a bit sad, is that sometimes maybe people take it and try to make another Leicester. You know, I think we can work
to copy it.
Yes, and I think that then you lose it, and then also you enter a less collaborative space. But when you take the method and the ethos to apply it, to make sense of it in the context of your own, but like Rosemary does in India, you know, and has been doing for years, working with the Dalits, working for women. Or like your org lab, which is really, I think, very special in terms of it's really trying to grapple with the business world. Really trying to, every year I think you're trying to make something a bit better so it works better in the business world, and I think that's very focused, you know. And then the universities in the United States also are doing short conferences for students as part of the program, and they're good. They're good.
It's also a good part of their education and their learning.
Yeah.